What are you paying Saucer for? Go and get friendly with your agent. Go and get friendly with the estate agent. Tell him, I can give you. With that woman in the hairdressers, I gave her 6 months in advance. The deal was that juicy. I said, look, here's my 6 months in advance. This is why I say if you JV with somebody and you see a house in Brixton, and you know that brother needs a bit of cash, these are the little things, the sweeteners. This is what they do in investment banking. They give sweeteners out. Just give it in real life. If they really, people need cash. If they need it, it's worth it. You don't always need to. That's my answer to sourcing. So right now I'm doing a new build, and what's interesting about this new build is I go to Germany, I travel a lot, I educate myself with technology, I like engineering. My daughter's going to be looking at civil engineering. Now we're using ICF build, and this is like polystyrene and you pour the concrete in the middle. I have never seen a superstructure go up so quickly in my life. And the reason why it relates to you guys in this room is anyone that's thinking of going abroad and building, hello, my friend, I know you, don't I? Sorry, this is a happy thing to do.
No tangents.
All right, no time for that. Right, anyone who wants to do a quick build, and it's ICF, so you pour the polystyrene and the concrete in the middle, and it forms, superstructure forms quickly. So when you go back home, you can't be playing around with labours. Yeah, you get messed around. You all know what they're like. Everyone's slow. So you could have a superstructure up in no time.
How would you get a mortgage on it?
They're all mortgageable. I've done my homework. Preempted the banks. All mortgageable. So so we could do new builds in relation to here, or going back home, you can put superstructures up very, very quickly, right, without all the aggro. So I've bought in Barbados and I bought in Gambia, yeah. I'm not looking at them as money-making machines or cash cows. I'm just simply, that's just a little, somewhere to rest my head, my husband and I. Yeah, to rest our head. So, check my time. Right, so basically, to cut a long story short, guys, even if you've got $3,000, right, you can start. Even if you've got no money, right, you can walk into an agent and you can convince that agent that, or somebody or friend who's got a property, that I can make more money than what you're making right now if you just give me that chance. You only need one. You only need to start with one. From our Beep group, we found that most people wanted to start rent-to-rent businesses. I've got a rent-to-rent business, guys, in Colchester. It is going absolutely amazing. Rent-to-rent is simply, you take a property off somebody and then you go and rent it back out. There you go, in its most simplistic terms. So we've got 4 in Colchester, and they're stables. They're on 90% occupancies. 90%. They make about £800 per property, and we didn't even purchase it. So Brixton is an area where I believe that it looks like there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of traffic there. So I believe that things can work. And if you see an area where there's lots of development, I believe there was development in Croydon, etc. I was driving through Elephant and Castle and I saw a lot of activities, and I could see that rent-to-rent would work there, or service accommodation. So if there's anybody that wants to think about doing conversions or investing in buildings like this, we will be doing this. We will be finding buildings like this, and we will be converting them and working together. I can't do everything on my own. I'm looking at 25 net a month. I don't need no more money than that. Yeah, so now I'll have time to work with you guys. And you know what I feel more amazing is to be in the pleasure of being able to give back. You have to give back from your heart. You can't give back when you want something, because it doesn't work. And you guys will read me. I know you lot are intelligent people. You'd read me like a book. You have to give back because you really want to. And that's what I do. Yeah, so I want to work with you lot, and I hope you lot all can just join the Beep group. Go to Iola, she's got all the information. We'll teach you free of charge. There ain't nothing here. Don't need that. I'm already set. Don't need to take your money. Yeah. If anything, I just want us to work together or work with each other.
Ladies and gentlemen, apologies for being late. I was running from my business. Tonight is about connecting all of the dots. This is what we want to do economically, because we want to hit the ground running for 2019. We've been in so many isolated pockets, and 2018 has been about planning. But next year isn't about planning, it's about running. All of the intellectual capital is in this room. All of the intellectual capital will be connected to the minute this is live cast. We're not in pockets anymore. We're the most blessed we've ever been at any time in history because we're connected by technology. So that technology has leveled the playing field. When you see a man running, this is the only place we can beat them. When we get in a boxing ring, we can beat them. And technology has leveled the playing field for us. It's democratized. We're only stopped by our imaginations. And where our imagination stops, somebody's experience is going to kick in. Outside of the dots that we're connecting this evening, we've got people here. It's Christmas. Everybody needs a present. You've got books. You've got dolls. You've got more systems with my brother Tony Dada for success in business. All we have to do is follow the very simple formulas that are being set out. That is it. It's not rocket science. The alphabet goes A through Z. And what's being presented is A through Z. No solution is going to come out of this evening. Follow up from this evening. Connect with every single initiative in this room. My sister Dana Byfield is offering personal finance tutoring. We clean up our personal finance. It starts with our homes. We start family partners. That grows out. Once you know you can put your family on your back like a rucksack, then you go into your community. And if you're already at that stage, you don't have to wait. You start community partners. And you start interrelated community financial systems. Once you've done that, you move out again. And you have the institutional, which is business. The one thing we don't have is institutions, because we're still relying on them. If anything has been a lesson to you this year, is that we have no value in this country. They kidnapped the people who contributed the most to this country, and they deported them. But understand, that was economic. It was a bank robbery. If you're a non-citizen, you get no pension. I've taken it. Whatever was in the banks here becomes dormant, and the governments have created legislation to take dormant bank proceeds. After that, your property is here, there's confusion, they know how to siphon that. Understand, it's all economic. My job as a European is to embarrass you out of your position of clarity. You don't need to do that. Fix the system. Why do we have a brain drain? Why do we have a brain drain from the Caribbean to here? Because we came to fix and build a system we had no interest in. Why is there a brain drain from our communities into their best companies? He was the first black man. Because he's amazing. Now, if he's the first black man who overcame, or black woman who overcame 1,000 hurdles in a corporation, what would they do with our support based on the intellectual capital at this table of expertise? So we know we can do it by ourselves. Let's stop questioning. And the greatest advice I can give you this evening is don't waste your time convincing naysayers. If you don't believe, I believe you. If you smile in the mirror, 100% of the time the mirror is going to smile back. That Waklis Butu, that biscuit bodyguard who is miserable, who wants to convince you again out of your position of clarity, is a waste of your time, but not mine. I do not have it. So because we have the clarity that we have in this room, our next speaker is Franklin Boateng, who is going to talk about gold and alternative wealth investments. Connect the dots, because the same way that a stock market has a portfolio of investments, so should you, to protect your family wealth. Because when one goes up, something else will go down. when you got that portfolio, you're protecting yourself. And the key is that whatever you feel you can go through, look at your children and know that you don't want this servitude that we've had for your children. I know how much dirt I've gone through, and I know the psychological blocks I've had around money, no matter making it. The period when I made the most money, the biggest chunk of money I had, my mind was useless to me because of the blocks I had around money. So I was a total consumer. So I can't look at young guys who are buying Balenciaga and cars and don't own a home and judge them because I've wasted money, because I had the blocks. So when you have the clarity that these forums are providing, take advantage. There's no solution coming from this evening. Don't look for it. The solution is the investment you make in yourself in the follow-up. That is it. Please give a round of applause.
Hi guys, I want to say thank you to Dean and Iola for inviting me, and I want you guys to give a round of applause for yourself for turning up. But that's the main thing, you have to really turn up. Okay, so my talk, I'm going to be doing 2 segments. One segment is going to be 10 minutes on each segment. One segment is going to be about talking about investments and different alternative types of investments. Then the next segment is going to be about social media and how to use it or how to make it into a second income. Yeah? So I'm going to start off with this question. What do you own? Yeah? I'm going to revisit it. Just think about the question for a minute. What do you own? Yeah? So I'm going to start off with myself, Franklin Boatin. I'm going to start off with my business journey. When I was younger, I always wanted to get money. That was my always thing, get money. I wanted to be a millionaire before I'm 30. I was always hustling. Like my friends there, you could ask him, I was always into something, trying to get money. Yeah? I had, around about early 20s, I had a quite semi-successful business doing installations, multi-gym installations, multi-gym installation company. So most of the gyms you may see at private residences, American Embassy, the Pakistani Embassy, all these embassies, I would be the person that goes in and does their gyms. I was making a lot of money. What I was told was I need to invest in property, which everyone does, and it's still probably the best investment to do so. I invested in property, and I was like, yeah, I'll make $1 million, invest in property and things like that. And then around about the time of the credit crunch, what happened in the credit crunch? What happened? Yeah, everything crashed. Yeah, the banks robbed us. I'll tell you about bank robbery in a second. So what happened was, at that time, I lost my contract because the company I was working for, they wanted to bring everything in-house. So I lost my contract. At the time I lost my contract, I had, I think 5 properties. I can't even remember how many. And I was struggling because I had debts. I had high debts to pay. I had staff, I had all these different things I was paying for, vans and stuff. So I sent a couple of my vans to Ghana to start a bus company, and I was going through different things. And then my debt started to pile up. I had all my places renting out, and then I got to the stage where I couldn't raise money. My tenants stopped paying their rent. So I was paying about 3 mortgages myself, and my sister did help out. And I was like, oh God, how can this go so bad? Me being me, I thought, well, I own my properties, I have my tenants in there, I can go and speak to them and ask them why they're not paying me. The same property I had, my tenant wrote to the council and said, I'm harassing them. So I couldn't go to my property to ask for my money, And then it started to get to the situation where it was really bad. Luckily, I spoke to my creditors and I didn't have to go through bankruptcy, yeah? At that point, I was looking at what was happening in society around about 10, 12 years ago. A lot of banks you'll see a lot of advertisements about buying gold. I don't even remember that time. You'll see like big advertisements about buying gold. So what you may not know, or what you may know, is at that time, the Labour government was in power, and they sold off a lot of the gold reserve of the United Kingdom. They sold off like something like 200 million tons. I don't know if you guys know about gold reserve, and every country has to have 25% gold and stuff like that. Yeah. So they sold off so much gold reserve. You can find that as the actual amount. They sold so much gold reserve. They sold the gold reserve to give to the banks to bail them out. So I don't know if you remember, like Bank of Scotland, all these banks were going foreclosing. So the government stepped in to bail out the banks. What they told the banks to do is, we need our money back. We're not going to bail you out without getting our money back. So what the banks did is they started to buy up all of the pawnbrokers all over the place. Yeah? And then what happened is, you will see in your local supermarket or local shopping mall, you'll see a man with gold saying, buy gold, come and give me your gold. And then you'll see like TV advertisements about buying gold and cash converters and all these different things were in local communities. Because what they wanted is, they wanted us, because it was a credit crunch time, to give our gold back at a cheaper rate and not kind of get the right money for it type of thing. So, fast forward, I started to learn about why is this the case? And I started to say, okay, how do we save in gold? So let me give you a calculation, a very quick calculation. My thing is about long-term saving. It's about wealth creation, yeah? So to have a good pension in this country, does anyone know the calculations to have a good pension in this country? You have to pay an average of £300 to £500 a month into a pension fund for 30 years. For 30 years to have a good pension in this country. How many people can do that? Some of us can, but a lot of us can't. Yeah? So let me explain this calculation. So let's take that same £300 and let's take a 20-year period in history. So you can look at any 20-year period in history. Yeah? And I'm talking about long-term investments. I'm not talking about quick money or something. I'm not talking about long-term investments. So you take any 20-year period in history, you put £300 a month in the bank over 20 years, you'll be left with something like £76,000, which over 20 years is, it's good if you can save that, but it's not great. But what happens to your pound after 20 years? The buying power goes down, right? Yeah, it goes down. So what will happen is, say you lose maybe about 20% of that, so you lose about 16 grand. So after 20 years, you're only left with 50,000, yeah? If you use the same £300 a month, and you can take any 20-year period in history, whatever, and you use that to buy physical gold bars. Yeah? Physical gold bars. This is a 24 karat gold bar. It's actually what is it? I can't remember. 1 gram, this is 1 gram. But you bought £300 worth of gold. Guess how much over 20 years you would have accumulated in gold, and in gold value? Yeah, about between 200 and 250,000. Just buying gold. That same 20-year period, you see the pound, what's happening to the economy now? You bought gold, you will be sitting on that type of money. At that point, you can just use that money, buy a property or buy something with it, or do some sort of investment. Yeah? So that's my story about gold investment. Yeah? And saving in gold. When a lot of my parents came to this country, the Windrush generation and from Ghana and places like that, the price of gold, 1 kg of gold. And my dad, he came with money, he had money, he bought houses, he was doing his thing, but no one educated him about buying gold bars at that time. 1 kg of gold. Guess how much 1 kg of gold was in 1970? 1 kg. 1 kg. 1 kg. So the basically, huh? So 1 kg around that time was about £400. Yeah, at that time. Yeah. Guess how much 1 kg of gold is now? 1 kg, just the weight of your phone. How much? You're not even close.
10,000 something.
Go up. Go up. Go up.
50 grand.
About between 30 and 35,000 for 1 kg of gold. Yes. And it has to be 24 karat, full 24 karat gold. Huh?
African.
Yeah, African if you can. But yeah, but no. We'll go, if it's, as long as it's 24 karat and it's certified 24 karat, it doesn't really matter where you actually buy it from. Yeah? So this is what I'm saying. So what I do, so what's wrong? Is that someone's phone? Oh, okay. What I do is, I help people to understand this calculation. I work with a company and they help you save in gold. So you can either, and I always recommend, don't take my advice from it. Go and do your research. There's free information online. You can Google what I'm saying to you and see the prices of gold. Gold is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Gold is not something that's it dips up and down. But over any period of time, it goes consistently up. And the banks and everything, they're the ones that are taking our gold back. So when you see the man in the mall, say to him, "No, I'm not giving you my gold. I'm keeping it. It's for my future." Does that make sense? Yeah? So that's my first part. You can ask me the ways and stuff. Because I'm not trying to sell you something. I'm just trying to educate you. I'm not trying to say, "Oh, buy it from me" and stuff. I would just tell you the information, and then you just go and do it. Yeah? Okay, cool. Yes? Okay, the man in the street will buy the gold. Yeah. Oh no, it's not about winning the lottery. Yeah. Okay, good. So okay, so let me just give you the prices of gold, because when I say gold, people think it's expensive. So 1 gram of gold is between 50 and 55 pounds. 1 gram of gold. Yeah, 1 gram. You could buy it on various websites. One site is a company I use called Carrot Bars. Another site is a company called Bullions by Post. You could buy it anywhere. Ideally, if we my long-term plan is where I've spent a lot of my money now. I bought 300 acres. I've spent my life saving on 300 acres of land in Ghana. I'm trying to build. Thank you. I'm trying to build different types of infrastructure there so that I can mine and buy it there, and take it from the Chinese. But that's a whole. Yeah. So you can buy it in various places. I can give you more information afterwards. I'm kind of running out of time, so I need to kind of get on to my next point. Yeah. So that's just the information I'm giving you about gold. Secondly, I'm also, apart from investment, I also have like an online profile. I know it's a bit.
You're being modest.
Yeah, no. Okay, so
No, just say it.
Okay, so I'm Europe's biggest footwear and sneaker blogger. My name is actually King of Trainers on Instagram. So I'm gonna tell you. Oh no, it's some snakes music. It's right. So I'm gonna tell you what happened with the King of Trainers and why it's important for us to stand our ground. So when I was younger, in secondary school and junior school, my nickname was the King of Trainers because I used to go to the States every year. This before social media and things like that. I used to go to the States in the 80s and early 90s. I know I look young, don't I? But so I used to bring back a pair of trainers, and then in the playground my nickname was the King because you wouldn't get that pair for another year. So it was just a local North London thing. I'm from Tottenham, born and raised, and it was a local thing. So what happened was when the internet era came around in 1999, I bought thekingoftrainers.com and tried to do a website blog because I love footwear, I love trainers. That's like one of my things. I didn't know what I was doing with the internet at the time. I didn't know. I just let it go. But it was always my nickname. I opened a training studio in North London. I used to sell to a few local artists and things like that. Fast forward to just when I nearly went bankrupt, I took some time off work and I was looking at what I like doing. So I was looking at social media and things like that. So I started to teach social media, talk about social media and stuff and things like that. I set up a forum called Fabs Network, and then I had a forum in there called King of Trainers. I registered Twitter. Yeah? How many of us know about Twitter? Yeah? Everyone knows Twitter? Okay, good. So I registered Twitter, King of Trainers. My friend on Twitter said, Nike own Just Do It, and that's only possible nothing. Why doesn't JD Sports speak to the King of Trainers? At that time, JD Sports used to use King of Trainers as a tagline, but at that time, they had dropped it and they were going with best of the best. Yeah, and they changed their branding and things like that. So what happened was, the person who was running the account at the time started to attack me and said, "You're an imposter. How come you've got this name? This is our name. Give it back, give it back." And I was like, whoa, I didn't realize, you know, it was such an infringement. They done their due diligence and found that I had a domain name, and they found where I lived at my parents' address at the time, because I bought it so long ago. And they sent me a cease and desist, a legal cease and desist, saying that I've got a name and their online identity for their shop. Yeah? They had a trademark and things like that. And they went deep. They found I had property and stuff like that. They said, "We'll wipe you out. We'll take you out." Yeah? I said, I kind of wrote back to the lawyers and said, "Look, I'm willing to talk about this." They said, "No, we're gonna, our client doesn't want to speak to you. We're giving you 10 days to comply, or we're sending our lawyers in. We're sending out the legal team in." So I'd done my research. I paid a few people. I kind of looked around and saw a few great areas about trademark law and things like that. So then I actually got on the phone to the lawyer and I said, "Hi, it's King of Trainers on the phone." The lawyer got upset. She was like, "You can't use this name. This is our name, etc., etc." And I said, "Actually, I can." She was attacking me, and then it went to kind of. She said, "But don't you understand, JD Sports? What people don't know, if you're in the footwear industry, JD Sports own everything. They own Side, they own Foot Patrol, they own Hunter, they own Lacoste Train footwear. They own so many different brands that you may not know." So what happened was, she was threatening me with legal action. So she said, "If you don't give the names back, we're going to take it to court." And I said, "Okay, I'm willing to go to court then." It turned from attack to concern, because I was standing my ground. What happened was, she said, "Oh, but who's going to defend you?" I said, "You know what, I'm going to defend myself in court. Because I have a certain IP, trademark law is very vast, and there's different IPs and stuff that you have to understand. I can't get into it, but so I have a certain IP that's been associated with me since I was a little kid. You're not going to come and then just take the name." So I said, send the papers, I'm ready. She couldn't believe it. It's like someone that poured water on the phone, you could hear her in the voice "Who does this little boy, who does he think he is?" So I then basically proceeded, waited for the court papers, they didn't come. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, they didn't come. And then I got a letter saying, first it was, "Dear sirs, we're taking to court, blah, blah." Then it was, "Dear Mr. Boateng, actually our client no longer wants to pursue this matter, you're free to do what you want." At that time, I had the Twitter, and then I registered the Instagram. People say, "Franklin, you've got this profile, what do you do something with it? Look online and stuff." So I knew social media, I knew Instagram, so I took to Instagram. I started to post up trainers on Instagram. I actually wrote to every trainer company to say, "Look, I'm going to start a blog, I'm going to start social media, would you guys sponsor me and stuff?" They ignored me. So I just kept on blogging, because I knew my target audience. I kept on blogging, I kept on posting up and things like that. And then I actually used to go to events, footwear events, dressed up like a king. You'll find it online. I have a robe and a crown and everything. I used to dress up like a king. And people used to go crazy. And you know what was upsetting? Because in the footwear industry, I was always known as the King of Trainers. But when I wore the crown and stuff, a lot of my white friends had a problem calling me king.
Yeah, of course.
So they got upset and they started to troll me. I went through a lot of abuse, But God being so good, I stayed firm. I stood my ground. And to this day, JD Sports now pay me to post up on my Instagram. So what I'm trying to say is, when you have a passion and you have social media, I teach social media, that's what I do. I just taught some students today and I came straight here to talk to you guys. If you have a passion for social media, do not go on social media idle, not knowing what you're doing. If you want to make money on social media, I can help you. I get paid up to 5,000 to do one post on Instagram. Yeah? So at the end, definitely come speak to me and I'll give you my information for free. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate
it. We talk about all of these conspiracy theories we see on YouTube. but we don't know how to actively be functional in the world. The next gentleman is going to take you on a journey from no credit to acquiring property. Once you get on the ladder over the catch-22s, you're in the game. Say that again? Yeah, go ahead.
A lot of you have been coming up and asking about the Beat Group. So if you have registered your ticket online via Just Tickets, shout out to Just Tickets as well. Just Tickets, Paul, stand up please.
It doesn't.
Oh, that's it. Wave yourself. As you can see, he's black. It's black owned. Dean and I have been spamming everybody, telling them to use Just Tickets.
Informing.
Yeah? Informing. I've been spamming people. But anyway, in terms of the Beat Group, please make sure that you've written down your email address. I'm going to have the mailing list on me, so you can write it down. Also, we have HMPT here, HMPTV, sorry, Brother Robert at the back, who's filming for us this evening. And he also has a list because he's starting his platform, well, he's been doing his platform, doing a lot of great work in the community. And again, please do subscribe to his platform as well by jotting down your email addresses, okay? So we'll take those on both both mailing lists. But anybody who has registered, you will also get the information about connecting with the Beat Group and everything that's happened tonight, okay? So thank you.
And what I will say is, I will keep reiterating that it's about connecting the dots. So you've got Galaxy Radio in Afuwi Station. They've gone through criminal case to keep informing us of the information, having all of this type of information on the airwaves. But what they've got a petition for, it's not really a petition. What we need to create a credit union are names. We need 4,000. So if every single person in this room signs that form for the credit union, we're no longer opening accounts in Santander, in NatWest, making complaints. There's a reason that we're talking about partners this evening. Let us have it within our own financial institutions. So if it's merely numbers, you could go outside and hit 4,000 people with a piece of sand, with a grain of sand. So 4,000 is nothing. Let's get this done by the second week of January, starting in this room. It's very simple. Look, legislation is there. We're separated by the information. If the information is in the room because of the intellectual capital, we're not separated by anything. I kept saying, because of technology, the landscape is democratized. Because of the journey that we've had, working for Europeans, being ordered around by Europeans, you know, I believe. But you're looking at the most hard-headed, stupidest man who doesn't mind making mistakes, who didn't mind getting boxed, who didn't mind getting pushed. So now I don't have to listen as much. I only speak to the people in this room. So I am aware. Let's create our own financial institutions. Let's put our money into those financial institutions. Let's get our homes right. Then we get our communities right. It's not rocket science. A man cannot come out of his house, which I know is raggedy, where his child is the key example of that which doesn't listen, and tell me, in my community, I must get my house right. We are the example. That example will ripple out into the community. We get our homes right. And if you say you start from January and you commit 6 months to yourself, which is the greatest investment you can make, not your child, because your child is watching you. So for all that talk, I told you, if he could tell you to go look your mother and father, or she could, they would. They watch. I know because my mom told me study and get a proper job. I watch my mother. I love my mother. She did everything for us, but she wasn't happy. So I couldn't follow what she was saying because I was watching what she was doing. So if we understand that everything is within the doing, let's be doing. We are a nation of talkers. And the thing that has brought us to this point is the secret WhatsApp groups. Bun WhatsApp. You know what WhatsApp groups are? Therapy for sick people who won't pay for a couch. So when you're involved in these debates, which are rhetorical in nature, based on the intellectual capital that you have acquired, when you look in your yard and somebody's telling you this isn't possible, go look your mother and father. But I don't need to respond to you because I'm aware you're in your mother's box room covered in peanut butter and sellotape. It's not worthy of my time. So for 2019, let's move forward in the doing. Don't let anybody distract you out of your clarity for doing, for your personal finances, for the institutions that we're building, if you're at that level. We are not converters of men or women. It is for the willing and the qualified, or you are wasting your time. We are here. It's cold. We are tropical people. Take for granted everybody in this room is willing. Those who are qualified and powerful are disseminating information that the 1% have utilized to their benefit for generations. So Ono must become the 1%? Ain't that?
Say it again. Say it
So
again.
I want to introduce my brother who is going to take us from nothing to something.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. No, that's not enough live, so I'm going to do that again. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I like that. Now, listen, I've heard a number of people who've come up here and spoke already, and they said they're not here to sell you anything. All right, I'm going to say this. I'm here to sell you. Okay, I'm here to sell you. I'm even going to convert that word. I'm not going to say I'm here to sell you. I'm going to say I'm here to serve you. Okay. Now, the only way I can serve you in 10 minutes is if I tell you how you can stay connected to me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, because I can't teach you what I've learned in property in 10 minutes. It's impossible. All right, now let me go deeper. I'm going to start with something one of my mentors told me a number of years ago, and I think it's so powerful and so fitting, and you need to hear it. And what he said to me is, Samuel, those who pay attention. Those who pay attention. Now I'm going to ask a quick question to Pam. You said you did some training with Progressive. I know Progressive. I've done training with Progressive. I'm speaking quick only because I've got 10 minutes. All right? Pam, roughly, how much money did you spend with Progressive? Roughly?
About 15,000.
15 grand, okay? I spent 20 grand in 2016 to do a 1-year training program with Progressive's main rival called PIN, Property Investors Network. You know PIN? I know Progressive. You understand? Now the point I'm making is, I appreciate Pam wants to share this stuff for free. I appreciate I want to share this stuff for free. The problem is, those who pay attention. Was it helpful? 15 grand spent? 100%. Was my 20 grand spent helpful? 100%. Why? Because one of the properties I sourced, all right, cool, let's go in. One of the properties I sourced after I did, or during the program, I was able to negotiate over 100k discount on that property. I bought a property that was valued at £240,000 by a valuer for £136,000. Okay? Now, was it from the knowledge on the course? No, to be honest with you, for me it wasn't. Why? Because in 2005, that's when I started to study creative property investing strategies. But what I did understand is I was hitting a glass ceiling. All of the things Pam mentioned, I've experienced that. You can't work with your own people because your own people don't want to work with you because they don't understand that we need to work together. So you have got the knowledge, but you might not have the resources. I, unfortunately, was not in the era of Pam, where I can buy properties at 50,000, 60,000, 90,000. I live in East London, in Excel, and even in the worst area, you're buying 1-bedroom flats for 240,000. So I didn't have that opportunity because I'm younger. So I have to leverage other things. Now, I'm just going to say this just so you know, okay? Actually, it's supposed to be a workshop, so let's do the activity. I want you guys to speak to the person next to you. I'll give you 30 seconds, and your question that you're trying to answer is, how many ways can you make money in property? All right, and I'm giving you 30 seconds, and I'm watching the clock. Okay. So our time's up. Fortunately or unfortunately. Thank you. Some of you might be able to tell I used to be in a past life a secondary school maths teacher. I actually used to teach teachers how to teach. I was a lead practitioner in my last full-time job before I left that, ditched that, and decided to spend all my time doing property and all the other things I'm interested in. So I'm going to ask Antonio, what number did you guys come up with over there? About 3 different ways? Okay, cool. 11 over here. What's the number over here? 10. 10. Can we get an advance? Anyone got a higher number? I'm looking for high numbers.
16.
16.
No, 60.
60. All right, cool. Cool. So I'm here to give you value, okay? So I'm going to give you value right now. My whole 10 minutes is going to be spent answering one question. And that one question is why most people fail to build a successful, or you can substitute that word for profitable, property portfolio. Why most people fail to build a profitable property portfolio. And the answer is going to come after I tell you the answer to the question I just asked you. The answer is 3. There are only 3 ways to make money in property, and I'm going to break down what those ways are. Now, some of you here saw me present at the Black Property Group, so maybe that's where 3 came from, but I'm going to break it down to you. The first one is equity. When I did that deal in 2016 for a house that was worth 240 and bought it for 136, I did not make any cash flow. I did not make any profit. What I made was over 100K worth of equity. Yeah. So that's money that's locked up in bricks and mortar. And I can only release that money through the sale or through some other creative means. So equity is one of the ways. The second way is profit. Profit is when you acquire property, refurb that property, sell that property. This is one example, but when you sell that property, you receive a capital gain or an income which can be capital gain. But that's a one-off payment. Yeah. So that's a profit. And then the third way is cash flow. So cash flow is when you generate a positive return on rent. They are the only 3 ways you can make money in property. Now, to answer the question why most people fail to build a successful property portfolio, the answer is simple. It's because they have a lack of focus. Okay? Most people from the 80s, even before, who are buying property, do you know what they're trying to do? They're trying to get cash flow, equity, and profit all at the same time. Okay? And because of that, their portfolios are a mess. I know people, I do coaching, I coach people. I just coached a guy to get his first block of flats earlier on this year. Okay? Now I'm going to break some ideas down with you. Okay? If I buy a house up north in Blackpool for 100 grand, and I'm generating £1,000 profit or £1,000 in cash flow every single month, and that's the reason I bought it for. If there is a crash in the market, and that value of that house goes from 100 to £1, and I'm using extremes because extremes help us understand quickly. If the value goes from 100K to £1, does that bother me? No. It shouldn't if I'm only buying that property for cash flow. Yeah. The problem is, it bothers people, and you know what they do? They sell that house because they didn't know they were buying it for cash flow. They didn't know why they were buying it. They didn't understand that every single purchase, acquisition that I do in property needs to boil down to one of those 3 variables. Now, in terms of really answering your question, how many ways can you make money in property? The actual answer is infinite. There isn't a 16, 60, 100. There's more than that. I created a resource. It's called 30 Ways in 30 Days. What I do in that resource is go through 30 different ways you can make money in property. And the easiest way for me to do that was break it to the 3 variables, cash flow, equity, profit, and give you 10 in each. Now, I say in the beginning of that program, look, this is not an exhaustive list. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because I want you to understand that there are more ways than you think to make money in property. And the minute you realize that, you'll be more productive about going to make those ways happen. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, now, in terms of time, how am I doing? Is anyone counting? All right, cool. Look, my whole passion is giving value. Okay, I used to be in education. I'm an educator by nature. My whole thing is giving value. And I know I've given you a lot of value already. Is that correct? Yeah. All right, cool. That's me. Anyway, now, I've also got another resource called Team 10. Okay? Now, the reason I created Team 10, what I do in Team 10 is I go through all of the 10 key players you need in order to build a successful power team so that you can have success in your property business. And that's what Team 10 is. Now, I'm very passionate about changing people's lives. And because I'm very passionate about changing people's lives, I told my team we have to do something throughout 2018. And what that was make those resources free for people. I said we're going to have about 200 copies or more that are just going to go out for free. And the only thing that people have to pay for is the shipping. And that's it. And they're shipped internationally, so shipping on each of them works out around £8. So for £16, you'll end up with both of those. And we usually retail each of those at £72.99. Okay? Now, that's just value. All right? Now, I didn't bring any to sell because I'm really not here to sell you. I'm here to serve you. But I want you to understand that the reason I put a monetary figure on anything I do is because I learned from my mentor, those who pay. No, I've got to ask again. Those who pay. Okay. And I want you to pay attention. You know, I am honored, I'm / humbled to be here today in an environment of peers, brothers, sisters, people that are like me. This is why I became a teacher when I was a teacher, because I wanted to be around people that were like me. I wanted the young children who were like me to understand that I don't have to go and do what those people like me are doing, because I can do what those people like me are doing. And that's the same reason why I won't be quiet now that I'm in property. That's the same reason I can't be quiet. Pam shared the same ideology. Like, the other people speak about this stuff. They share about this stuff. They get together about this stuff. They make things happen about this stuff. And we sometimes just look at each other about this stuff. So Dean spoke earlier about no credit. He spoke about no money. He spoke about all of those things. And, you know, from hearing Pam, I think through Pam's presentation, I picked up about 5 to 6 strategies that she probably used over her journey in property. Like I said, 30 ways in 30 days is 30, but it's still not even scratching the surface. Okay, so what I'm actually doing is I'm doing a 1-day workshop called Get on the Ladder. That's taking place on Saturday, the 19th of January. Okay, and I want every single person in here to be there. That's just me. Okay, and because I want everyone to be there, I'm actually doing some crazy offer, according to my wife anyway, where if anybody decides to get a couple's ticket, we only have couples VIP. We've got 3 tiers of ticket, standard VIP, which are currently £80, couples VIP, and then we have, and couples VIP is just basically for 2 people to come together. And then we've also got a standard ticket. But I'm going to give you a website, okay, where you can book your ticket. Okay, we are actually on Just Tickets, but because of speed, I wasn't able to get the coupon done for the offer I want to do tonight. All right, so I do apologize. Okay, yeah, because I like black-owned business too. But if you go to the website tiny.cc, tiny.cc/solution room. Okay, tiny.cc/solution room. And if you use the voucher code BLACK, BLACK, I'll spell it for you. Yeah? If you use the voucher code BLACK, what you will get is you will get our couple VIP ticket for the price individually of a standard ticket. Okay, so that means you and someone else can come as a guest to my event as a VIP, even though you're really paying the standard price. Does that make sense? Yeah? Now, the standard price is £50 per person. Okay, so that's what you're roughly going to pay. And then obviously all of these portals, they add on a little fee. So you've got some crumbs to put on top of that. All right, but roughly you're getting 2 tickets for £100, which are usually around £160. And that's a couple's VIP because I want you in the room. Okay, it's taking place in East London in Excel. And what I'm going to actually do on that day, do you want to know what I'm going to talk about on the day? Yep. All right, I'm going to talk about every single one of the 30 ways that are actually inside of that program. Okay, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Then I'm going to speak to you about the 3 things you need, the 3 secrets to becoming a successful property entrepreneur. Now, in terms of taking you back, I didn't speak about myself, guys. Anytime I present, I always talk about myself at the beginning, just to introduce myself. And the reason I didn't is because I got less time than every other speaker. So I just want to give you value. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay? But if I do speak about myself, I'm going to share 2 things with you guys. My name's Samuel. Samuel Ikimwin. Most people call me Samuel I Can Win Ikimwin. But sorry, sir. Go on. I'm gonna now. Thank you, Dean. All right, so my time's been extended. All right, so here goes. Brief synopsis. At 11 years old, my mum came home one day. I was 11. She wasn't. She came home one day, and basically she informed us that after 15 years of working for a central bank in London, she'd been made redundant. Okay, now we lived in a fairly nice 3-bedroom house in Beckton. Anyone who knows Beckton knows that that whole area was created. It was created, it didn't exist. Okay, so buying houses in that area at a time was quite expensive. And my mum lived there, single mother, with me and my 3 brothers. I'm one of 4 boys. So she's got 4 boys herself, just been made redundant from a central bank in London after 15 years of service. And that gave me 2 ideologies. 1, I do not trust big business. Second, I better stand and learn how to stand quick. Because if I don't, any boss can get fed up and say, sorry, Samuel, it's time to go for you. So that's what I actually got at 11 years old. I got a hunger. Now, Dean said brief synopsis. I'm going to really go in, guys. I'm just going to open up to you because I think if I don't do that in this forum, you guys will never know. Okay, so at 11 years old, I released my ambition. Okay, my ambition, and I'll share my ambition with you in the form of one goal. My goal was at 21, I wanted to drive a Lamborghini. Okay, now I looked at my dad, he owned his own business, but the problem was he didn't look like he had any money. I looked at my mum, she worked a job, and the issue was she was made redundant. So that's the two prevalent models, own business versus working for someone else. Does that make sense? Yeah. So in my ideology at 11 years old, that said to me, the system doesn't work, nothing works. And who did I see driving the right cars? The guys on the roads. So where did I go? Onto the roads, okay? I sold drugs, I was a kingpin, I did fraud, I was there. Do you get what I mean? I was there. I went to prison, I came out of prison, and I thought, you know what? Society had taken my time. I got to work even harder, and I went back to prison. Because that's what happens, okay? And then I came out of prison, I celebrated my 18th birthday in prison. That's how real it is. And then I came out of prison the second time, and I said to myself, you know what, Samuel? You are an entrepreneur. It doesn't matter what field you're in. You're hustling on the roads, and people respect you on the roads because that's the field you chose. But you're an entrepreneur, you're going to make it wherever you go. So then I did what I would say is a big mistake. And I'm just going to keep it honest, and I'm going to keep it brief. I did what my parents had told me to do all this time. I went to study. And I studied my first degree, and then my second degree, and then my third degree, and then my fourth degree. Okay, I've studied 4 degrees. My first degree is a BSc in Computing and Statistics. My second degree was a Master's in Statistics at UCL. My third degree was teacher training, PGCE in secondary maths education and A-levels. My fourth degree was a Master's in Teaching. I went and studied 4 degrees. Now, listen, guys, listen, thanks for the applause, yeah? But let me keep it real with you. I say this to people all the time. Not one of those degrees comes to my house on any morning of the week and says, Samuel, here's 50K for the year. None. Guys, no, look, listen, please, hear this. None. Okay, I started my doctorate this year. Okay, but for the first time, I'm doing education differently. Because I realized that doing it conventionally only serves to produce convention. Yes. And I'm not trying to produce convention. I'm trying to produce life change. So just as a brief synopsis, I've been told I've got 5 minutes left, so I'm gonna summarize in less than 5 minutes. My wife and I'm gonna share with you our goals because I feel like that's the right thing to do right now. We have 3 main goals in ministry, education, and property. Our property goal is to own 15 blocks of flats in 3 cities in the UK, okay? And it's not because, we want to be the boss. No, it's because we want that to fund our ministry and educational goals. Now, my wife is also a qualified teacher, as am I. Now, our education goals is to open a federation of schools, 3 schools, 1 in London, 1 in the West Indies, and 1 in Africa. 3 schools teaching a Christian curriculum supplemented by entrepreneurship and enterprise. So our goal is to teach our children how to start business and how to infiltrate business and take over business. Okay? And lastly, in terms of the ministry activity, me and my wife have a passion for East London because we were both like more or less raised there, and we want to support 300 families on a regular basis through means of knowledge, wisdom, insight, finance, food, etc. in the East London area. So that's me. I hope it's been of value, and try your best to connect with me as well.